My name is Emma, and this is the story of how my fiancé cheated on me with my own younger sister, and how I made sure he lost everything he loved, one piece at a time. If you're listening to this wondering, could that ever be me? Trust me, I was asking myself the same question, right up until the moment it actually happened. Ethan and I met in college. I was the girl with color-coded notes and anxiety about getting a B+. He was the charismatic finance major who thought sleep was optional and confidence was a personality trait. Warm, fond, he'd show up late to lectures with a coffee in one hand and a grin that basically said, "Yeah, I know I'm annoying, but you still like me." And he was right. He'd lean over my desk and whisper, "Hey, genius, let me borrow your notes again. You know it's our love language." I'd roll my eyes, but I'd hand them over. I told myself he saw how smart I was, how reliable I was, how safe I was. Read aloud then that men like Ethan see reliable as something to use, not to cherish. After college, we moved to a mid-sized city in the US. Not New York, not LA, just one of those places where everyone's hustling, but rent is still barely survivable. Calm. Read aloud at a promising tech firm in business development. I ended up in operations at a healthcare company. Spreadsheets, workflows, chaos, you name it. We built a life together. We found a little townhouse, the kind with creaky stairs and a kitchen that thought it was a hallway. We painted the walls ourselves, argued about which couch to buy, and made peace over takeout and Netflix. We talked about marriage all the time. He said he wanted a big wedding, lots of people, a dance floor, and speeches that would make him cry. I wanted something smaller, more intimate, where I didn't feel like an exhibit. "Babe," he'd say, "if we don't give my mom a big wedding, she will haunt us while alive." Reed laugh, but he wasn't wrong. We got engaged on a random Tuesday night. No Eiffel Tower, no rose petals. I came home from a double-shift week, exhausted and smelling like printer toner, and there he was in the living room with cheap fairy lights and a pizza shaped vaguely like a heart. He dropped to one knee and said, "I don't care if we're rich or broke, if we're in a mansion or this crooked little place. I just want to do life with you, Em." I cried. Of course I did. I said yes. That version of Ethan, that sweet, earnest boy with grand promises and messy gestures, felt so real to me. Sharp, cold. Turns out he was a performance, and I was his most dedicated audience member. Around this time, my younger sister, Lily, started calling me more often. Fond, mixed. Read aloud. Lily is 3 years younger than me. Growing up, she was always the pretty one. Big green eyes, tiny waist, hair that looked good even when she did absolutely nothing to it. And me? I was the responsible one. The one who remembered doctor's appointments and made sure the bills got paid and checked on our mom when our dad walked out. Read a love responsible girls. They just don't fall in love with them the same way. Thoughtful. Read aloud had this complicated closeness. I loved her. I would have done anything for her, but I always lived in her shadow, whether she meant to cast it or not. Calm. Read aloud, sounding small and shaky. "Can I stay with you for a while?" she asked. "Things with my roommate are bad. She's behind on rent, and I can't float both of us. I need a reset." "Warm," I didn't even hesitate. Of course you can. We'll figure it out when you get here. When I told Ethan, he shrugged. Your sister? Yeah, sure, it'll be fun, he said. Besides, it's temporary, right? I didn't know it then, but I should have paid more attention to the way he said fun. A week later, Lily showed up with 3 suitcases and a box of plants. She stepped into our place like she was walking onto a stage. Crop top, high-waisted jeans, hair in a messy bun that probably took 30 minutes. I looked down at my oversized hoodie and leggings and felt muted, like our home had just been invaded by a walking Instagram reel. I hugged her tightly anyway. You're home, I said, at least for now. Hope you don't regret that, she joked, spinning around our living room. Cute place, by the way. Very you. Which meant what? Organized and boring? Calm. Read aloud. The first few weeks were fine. Better than fine, actually. Lily got a part-time job at a boutique downtown, and she'd come home with stories about annoying customers and coworkers who lived on oat milk and drama. Amused. Read aloud, laughing, chiming in with his own work stories. They bantered. Quick, punchy, electric. Quiet insecurity. Sometimes I'd watch them from the kitchen and feel left behind, like they were speaking in memes and jokes I didn't quite get anymore. But I told myself I was being paranoid. This was my fiancé. This was my sister. They were allowed to get along. That's what I wanted, right? Uneasy. Calm. One evening, I came home late from work. The sun was setting, and our living room glowed orange. Lily and Ethan were on the couch, sitting a little too close, laughing at something on his phone. As soon as they saw me, they shifted apart, like someone had pressed pause. What's so funny? I asked, dropping my bag. Just some dumb TikTok, Ethan said quickly, locking his phone. Lightly teasing. You wouldn't get it. It's one of those had-to-be-there things. Hurt, masking, but my stomach tightened. After that, little things started to add up. Calm. I'd walk into a room and they'd go quiet. I'd find 2 mugs in the sink when I'd had my coffee at work all day. I'd see Ethan's hoodie draped over Lily's shoulders because she was cold. Every time I almost said something, this little voice in my head hissed. Don't be that girl. Don't be the jealous one. You're better than that. Rye, read aloud. Spoiler, I was not better than that. I was just better at pretending. Calm, read aloud. One Saturday, Ethan had a work retreat. His company loved that word, retreat, as if sitting in a hotel conference room with stale pastries and forced team building was relaxing. He left early in the morning in a button-down and slacks, kissed my forehead, and said, "I'll be back late, don't wait up." I watched him leave with a weird heaviness in my chest. Curious. Around noon, I got a text from my coworker, Mina. "Hey, isn't your fiancé's company doing layoffs?" she wrote. "Saw something on LinkedIn. You okay?" My stomach dropped. Layoffs? Ethan hadn't mentioned anything about layoffs. Worried, read LinkedIn, and sure enough, there it was. His company was restructuring. People were posting vague goodbyes and on to new adventures messages. Why hadn't he told me? Focused, straight to voicemail. I texted, "Hey, everything okay? Just saw the news." No response. All afternoon, my mind spiraled. Was he getting laid off? Was he hiding it because he didn't want me to worry? Was he Ashamed? Rye? Read aloud, Dad. You see how my brain did that? Jumped straight to poor him, not why is he lying to me? Calm. He finally came home around 10 that night. No overnight bag, no obvious signs of a wild time, just tired eyes and a loosened tie. How was the retreat? I asked, watching him. Exhausting, he sighed, kicking off his shoes. You know how these things are. And the layoffs? He froze for a split second. It was quick, but I saw it. Yeah, he said, forcing a shrug. They told us after we left. I wanted to process it before dumping it on you. So, you're okay? For now, he said. I'm safe. They need me. But the vibe is weird, you know? I nodded, but something felt off. His responses were too rehearsed, too smooth. I didn't know it then, but that was my first real red flag. Calm. Read aloud. A few days later, I overheard Lily on the phone in her room. No, I can't do weekends, she whispered. That's when he's usually with her. I have to pick my moments. Alert. My skin prickled. Her door was open a crack, and I stood frozen in the hallway. Look, I know what I'm doing, she hissed. It's not like she appreciates him anyway. She treats him like a project, not a man. Heartbroken. My heart plummeted. Shaky, hurt, I stepped back, accidentally brushing against the wall. The drywall gave a soft thud. Startled. Read aloud. I'll call you back, she said quickly. She stepped into the hallway, eyes widening when she saw me. Oh, I didn't see you there. Careful? I asked. Yeah, just talking to a friend, she said. She's going through a messy breakup. You know how it is. Her smile was too wide, her eyes too bright. But I let it go. Again, because I wanted to believe her. That's the thing about betrayal. You almost always catch it early, in tiny, easy-to-ignore pieces. Calm. Read aloud from somewhere I didn't expect. A week later, Ethan left his laptop open on the kitchen table. He never did that. He was weirdly private about his tech, always locking screens and closing tabs like his life depended on it. Curious. Read. Upstairs. Showering. I walked past the laptop, intending to ignore it, because I still believed in privacy and boundaries and all that adult stuff. But then I saw it. An email subject line in his inbox, bold and unread. Outstanding balance and repayment options. My heart started racing. I knew we had some credit card debt, who didn't, but an outstanding balance that needed options? That was new. Careful. I sat down. My hands were shaking as I moved the trackpad. I told myself I was crossing a line, but I also told myself that if he was hiding something that affected both of us, I had a right to know. Focused. Read. I clicked. Shocked. The email was from some shady online lender, confirming a loan of $10,000 Ethan had taken out 3 months ago. $10,000. Confused? The repayment schedule was brutal. High interest, short terms, penalties for late payments. And guess what? He was already behind. The lender was threatening to escalate. Collections. Legal action. Stunned. I scrolled further down the thread. There it was, a previous email from Ethan. "I just need a little more time," he'd written. "My fiancé doesn't know about this. Please don't call our home number." Doesn't know about this. I heard the shower turn off upstairs. I closed the laptop so fast the screen flickered. Cold. I should have confronted him right then. I should have walked upstairs, laptop in hand, and demanded answers. Self-critical. Instead, I made dinner. I moved around our kitchen like a ghost, chopping vegetables and stirring sauce, and waiting for him to come downstairs and lie to my face again. When he finally did, hair damp, t-shirt clinging to his chest, he kissed my cheek. "Smells good," he said. "What's the occasion?" "Just wanted to do something nice," I replied. As we sat at the table, Lily joined us, bouncing in like a golden retriever. She took the seat next to Ethan without thinking, and they fell into their usual banter. I watched them laugh together while that email burned in my brain. Bitter. At that point, I wasn't sure what I was more upset about, the loan or the fact that he'd told a lender more truth about his situation than he'd told me. That night, I made a decision. Resolved. If I wanted the truth, I'd have to stop asking politely and start digging. Calm. Read aloud. Over the next few days, I paid attention, really paid attention. I watched how often Ethan and Lily just happened to be alone together, how their text notifications lit up their phones at the same time, how he suddenly cared a little too much about how he looked when he knew she'd be home. Rye, I also did something very un-Emma. I snooped, strategically. I went through our bank statements. There were charges I didn't recognize. Expensive dinners, Uber rides at weird hours, hotel bar receipts that didn't match any work trips. Hurt, read aloud, in black and white, the double life he'd been curating while I budgeted and meal prepped and made Excel sheets for our wedding savings. I didn't explode. I didn't scream. Not yet. Something in me went very still instead. Resolved, because if he was going to play games behind my back, I was going to change the rules altogether. Calm. Read aloud. A manager asked if I could stay late to help with an internal audit. I agreed, then immediately texted Ethan. "Hey, I've got to stay late for work. Audit drama. Might be home around 10. He replied, almost too fast. "No worries, babe. I'm wiped anyway. I'll crash early." "Sure you will." I left the office at my normal time. I didn't go home. I parked a block away from our place and watched. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. At 6:17 p.m., I saw Ethan's car pull up. He got out, checked his phone, and walked inside. No overnight bag. No signs of going anywhere. Quiet. 10 minutes later, Lily came home, headphones in, swinging a small shopping bag. She hesitated at the front door, like she was rehearsing something in her head, then went in. I waited 15 more minutes. Then I walked to the house. I didn't slam the door or burst in. I used my key. I took off my shoes. I placed my bag down gently, like I always did. Disgusted. Whispering. Giggles. A low, familiar laugh that made my skin crawl. I walked up the stairs, each step slow and deliberate. The bedroom door, the one Ethan and I shared, was half open. Cut. Read aloud. I pushed it the rest of the way. Cold clarity. In that moment, time didn't slow down. It didn't blur. It sharpened. Flat. Read aloud. Shirtless. Sheets around his waist. Flat. Bitter. Wearing one of his t-shirts, her hair a mess, lipstick smeared. Romantic, right? For a second, no one moved. Wow, I said. And here I was, worried you were just hiding debt. Panicked, Lily scrambled to the edge of the bed, eyes wide. Emma, this isn't what it looks like. Really? I said, raising an eyebrow. Because it looks exactly like what it looks like. Ethan opened his mouth, then closed it again. He looked caught. Not sorry, not devastated, just annoyed he'd been interrupted. How long? I asked quietly. Defensive. Can we talk about this privately? He said, glancing at Lily. This is complicated. Sharp. Read aloud. But you invited my sister into our bed, so I think she's earned a front row seat. Shaky. Guilty. It just happened, she whispered. We didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't mean to hurt me, I repeated. Is that before or after you had to check my schedule to make sure I'd be out of the house? Cold. You're being dramatic, Emma. It's not like that, he said. We've just been talking. We connected. It's not some evil plot. Flat, I said. For a minute, I thought you two were having an affair in my bed while lying to my face for weeks. So glad to hear it's just a little emotional connection. Very wholesome. My voice cracked on the last word. You've been so distant, Ethan said. You're always working, always stressed. I didn't feel seen. Lily, she gets me. She listens. Cold laugh. Right, I said. Classic. Cheat on your fiancé and blame her for not clapping hard enough while you spiral into debt. Shocked. What? Sharp? Read aloud. The $10,000 loan? I said. The one you hid from me? The one you begged a lender not to call our home about? Cornered. Read aloud. Read aloud? He demanded. Oh, I'm sorry, I said. I must have missed the part where financial betrayal was fine, but reading your inbox was crossing a line. Soft. Bitter. You were going to find out eventually. We were going to tell you. When? I asked. During the wedding speech, and now a toast to the bride's younger sister, who kept the groom warm when the bride was too busy paying the bills. No one spoke. Get out, I said finally. Confused, Ethan frowned. Emma, be serious. Firm. I've never been more serious in my life, I said. You both have 10 minutes to get out of this house. Grab whatever you can carry. The rest stays. Panicked? This is my home too, Ethan snapped. Calm, lethal, I said. Cool explanation. I walked over to my nightstand, opened the drawer, and pulled out a folder. Steady? Remember when we bought this place? I asked. Remember how your credit score looked like a horror story and the lender wouldn't approve you? I put my name on everything, I continued. The mortgage, the deed, the utilities. You know what that means, Ethan? Flat. It means legally this is my house. You just live here. Or, well, you did. Twist? satisfied. Stunned, he said. "Oh, I would," I replied, "and I am." Quietly savage. As for you, you can go find another big sister to leech off. Crying. "Read aloud," she sobbed. "I made a mistake." "Hard," I said. "A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. A mistake is buying the wrong size shoes. You made a series of choices, deliberate ones, with my fiancé, in my home, on my sheets. So now," I added, "you can live with the consequences." I walked out of the room, grabbed my phone, and started recording. "Practical. You have 8 minutes left," I called up the stairs. "If you're not gone by then, I start calling people. Your mother, Ethan. Our mother, Lily. And if I really get bored, I'll see how fast your boss responds to forwarded emails and screenshots of those hotel receipts." It's amazing how quickly people can move when their reputation is on the line. Calm. Read aloud. 10 minutes later, Ethan was in the driveway, slamming his bag into the trunk of his car. Lily was standing on the sidewalk, clutching a duffel, her mascara running. Flat. She tried one more time. "Broken," she said. "You're my sister." Cold. Hurt. "You should have remembered that when you climbed into my bed," I said, and shut the door in her face. Soft, aching. Reflective. I sank onto the couch and finally let myself cry. Ugly, hiccuping sobs that twisted my chest. Gentle self-awareness. To call my mom. To call anyone. But another part of me knew nobody was going to fix this for me. So, after I ran out of tears, I wiped my face, grabbed my laptop, and opened a new document. If Ethan thought he could cheat on me, drag me into his financial mess, and walk away with just a bruised ego, he'd severely underestimated the boring girl he'd been using as a safety net. I started with the numbers. Because when your heart is shattered, spreadsheets are surprisingly comforting. They don't lie, they don't gaslight you, they just lay out the truth in neat little rows and columns. Methodical. I listed everything: the mortgage, the utilities, the credit cards, the suspicious charges. Then I added the loan he'd hidden. Calculating. Next, I pulled up my emails with our mortgage broker. The house was in my name only. I'd qualified on my income alone. Past me, the anxious planner, had accidentally thrown present me a lifeline. Practical. I scheduled an appointment with a lawyer the next day. Calm. When I explained the situation, she listened, took notes, and then gave me a look that said she'd seen this exact pattern 100 times. "Do you want out?" she asked, "or do you want leverage?" Surprised. That word hit me like a slap. Leverage. I thought about Ethan's job, his reputation, his panic when I mentioned sending screenshots to his boss. I thought about Lily's obsession with her image, her followers, her curated little life. "I want both," I said. Impressed. The lawyer smiled. "Good," she said. "Then here's what we're going to do." Over the next few weeks, I built my revenge like a project plan. Milestones, deliverables, contingencies. Rye. Ethan always teased me about being too corporate. He should have known better than to underestimate someone who could turn emotional ruin into an operational strategy. First, I quietly removed him from every account he had no legal claim to. Joint cards he wasn't paying? Closed or transferred. Subscriptions? Canceled. His name on anything that touched my credit, gone. Practical, then I redirected my direct deposit to a separate bank account, just in case he got any ideas about borrowing from me. That's when I discovered something else. Surprised? Hidden in a random folder, labeled with something boring like docs_2021, were PDF files of my pay stubs, recent ones, downloaded, organized, and not by me. I took them to my lawyer. She frowned. Has he asked you to co-sign anything recently? Thinking. Read aloud. No, I said. Not yet. Then he was probably preparing to, she replied, or using your income documentation for something else. Either way, you were smart to get ahead of it. The idea that he was planning to leverage my income for more debt made my skin crawl. A week later, that something else showed up in my mailbox, a pre-approval letter for a joint line of credit with my name on it and an address I didn't recognize. Flat, darkly amused. Ethan had actually tried to use my information to open new credit at whatever couch he was crashing on. Resolute, scanned everything and handed it straight to my lawyer and, later, to Claire in compliance. Cold, clear. That was the moment my revenge stopped being just about the cheating. Calm, icy. It became about making sure he could never use me as a safety net again, financially or otherwise. Calm. Read aloud. Meanwhile, Ethan tried to spin the breakup to his advantage. Rye. Read aloud. Of course he did. I heard through mutual friends that he was telling people we'd grown apart, that I'd become too intense, that he'd made a mistake, but I was overreacting. Overreacting. That word always makes me laugh now. So I waited for the perfect opportunity to show everyone exactly what overreacting looked like. Calm. Read aloud in the form of his company's big annual networking gala. Before all the layoffs drama, he'd been part of a team pitching a new product line there. It was a huge deal for him, career-defining, he called it. I still had the RSVP in my inbox. Officially, I was invited as his +1. Unofficially, I decided to attend as his reckoning. On the night of the gala, I put on the black dress I'd been saving for some hypothetical anniversary dinner. I did my hair properly, took my time with my makeup, and for the first time in weeks, I looked in the mirror and saw someone who wasn't just broken. I saw someone dangerous. Calm. When I walked into the venue, heads turned. That part surprised me. I wasn't used to being the center of attention. Rye, rage, and good contouring make a powerful combination. Observant. Read aloud Ethan near the stage, surrounded by coworkers and a couple of executives. He was in his element, talking big, gesturing, laughing. He didn't see me at first. Calm. Read aloud toward his boss, James, the VP who'd always treated me politely at company events, but never really paid attention. Pleasant. Cool, I said, smiling. I'm Emma, Ethan's ex-fiancé. Awkward. Oh, Emma, I didn't realize you... I'm sorry, I heard things didn't work out. They did, I said calmly. Just not for him. Intrigued. Clearly intrigued despite himself. I see. I was actually hoping to get your advice, I continued, pulling out my phone. See, I've been dealing with some financial fallout, and I thought you might want to know what one of your senior guys has been up to. Calm, surgical, the hidden debt, the way Ethan had used my income information without my knowledge, the attempted joint line of credit with a mystery address. James' face darkened. This is problematic, he said slowly. Especially, I added, if he's representing your company at events like this. Might be worth making sure he's not dragging your brand into his chaos. James straightened his tie. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, he said. We'll look into it. Translation: Ethan's golden boy image was officially tarnished. Calm. Read aloud, excused myself, and turned just in time to see Ethan storming toward me. What the hell are you doing here? He hissed. Sweet innocent, I said, sipping my drink. It's a public event. Technically, I'm invited. You're trying to ruin my career, he said. No, I replied. You did that yourself. I'm just making sure you don't ruin mine in the process. You're vindictive. You know that? He snapped. Dry laugh. You cheated on me with my sister in my house? I said. If anything, I'm underreacting. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted someone else approaching. Curious. Read aloud. It was a woman I didn't recognize. Mid-30s, sharp blazer, sharp eyes. Emma? She asked. I'm Claire. I work in compliance. James forwarded me some of those documents. I'd like to set up a time to talk more, if you're willing. Compliance? Of course. Absolutely, I said, holding Ethan's gaze as I accepted her card. Anything I can do to help. Deflated? By the time the speeches started, Ethan looked rattled. His pitch was fine, technically, but that easy charm he loved so much, it was gone. Calm. Pleased. Watching him crumble from the inside was enough. After the gala, I focused on the last part of my plan, Lily. I'd already blocked her on everything. She tried contacting me through fake accounts, through relatives, through accidental Venmo requests. Rye. Read aloud. When guilt didn't work, she tried pity. My mom eventually called, her voice tense. Emma, she's your sister, she said. She made a mistake. Cold, controlled, I replied. Multiple choices. And now I'm making mine. Family is family, my mom insisted. If that's true, I said quietly, then she should have treated me like it. Calm. Read aloud a single screenshot. Just one. It was a photo Lily had accidentally airdropped to our shared home laptop months ago, a mirror selfie in my bedroom, wearing my robe, Ethan's shadow visible behind her. My mom didn't have much to say after that. A few weeks later, I got a message from an unknown number. Hey, this is Nadia, it read. We've never met, but I think we should talk. It's about Ethan. Of course it was. Calm. We met for coffee. She was pretty, in a subdued way, minimal makeup, simple clothes, tired eyes. I used to date him, she said, years ago, before you two got engaged. I saw your little life update post when you got the house and thought, good for her. I honestly hoped he'd grown up. I'm guessing he didn't, I said. Rye. Read aloud. Calm. Read aloud. She told me how he'd love-bombed her, borrowed money just until payday, then disappeared when she started asking questions. Her story sounded so familiar, it hurt. Quiet solidarity, she said, builds himself up, then kicks them away once he's steady. Not this time, I said. This time he's losing the structure. Supportive. She smiled sadly. Good, she said, for all of us. Extra twist. Cool. Before she left, she hesitated, then added, by the way, your sister? He cheated on her too, with some girl from his gym. I ran into Lily once. She looked wrecked. I think she finally realized she wasn't special to him either. That landed like the final click in a puzzle. The man they both blew up my life for? He didn't even stay loyal to her. Any tiny piece of guilt I'd been holding on to about ruining their relationship evaporated. That conversation was the final piece I needed. I wasn't just closing a chapter. I was making sure the door hit him on the way out. Hard. A month later, I heard through the grapevine that Ethan had been asked to resign. Officially, it wasn't a firing. Unofficially, everyone knew what it was. Rye. Read aloud. Turns out compliance and hidden personal loans, attempted identity fraud, and messy personal drama don't mix well in corporate politics. Lily, meanwhile, bounced between friends' couches and short-term rentals. Without my stability and Ethan's income, her aesthetic life started crumbling. She started posting less. The carefully staged brunch photos disappeared. The cryptic, sad girl quotes ramped up. Cold. I didn't like seeing her struggle, but I wasn't about to save her from a fire she helped start. Gentle, healing. Calm. I refinanced the house in my name only. I repainted the bedroom, I bought new sheets, I threw out anything that reminded me of him, down to the stupid mug that said world's okayest fiancé. It was true, though. He really was only okay at it. I went to therapy. I cried. I ranted. I learned. I learned that I wasn't crazy for noticing red flags. I wasn't too much for expecting loyalty, and I definitely wasn't overreacting. I reconnected with friends I drifted from while I was busy managing Ethan's chaos. I took myself out to dinner alone and realized I actually liked my own company. And slowly, the house stopped feeling like a crime scene and started feeling like mine. One afternoon, months later, I was sitting on the same couch where I'd once sobbed my heart out, sipping tea and scrolling through emails. A message popped up from an unknown address. Subject: Thank you, it read. Read aloud. It was from Claire, the woman in compliance. Reading: Just wanted you to know, she wrote, that your willingness to share what you did helped us identify some serious boundary issues with Ethan's conduct. You weren't the only one he misled. Because of your information, we were able to protect several employees from being dragged into his financial mess. I know this doesn't fix what he did to you, but I hope it gives you some peace. Warm, vindicated. I hadn't just taken everything he loved. I'd taken the thing he valued most, his ability to manipulate people in the dark. So here's what I want you to take from my story. If someone shows you who they are in the small things, when they lie about money, when they flirt just a little too much with someone they shouldn't, When they make you feel crazy for asking basic questions, believe them. Love is not a get out of accountability free card. You are not dramatic for wanting honesty. You are not clingy for wanting loyalty. You are not boring because you care about stability and bills and the future. And if someone is foolish enough to mistake your stability for weakness, well, you'd be amazed what a boring girl can do when she finally decides she's done being your backup plan. I thought losing Ethan and Lily at the same time would break me. Calm. Read aloud for something better, for boundaries, for self-respect, for a life that didn't revolve around managing someone else's chaos. Warm, gentle, encouraging. You don't have to burn your whole life down to start over. Sometimes you just have to lock the door behind the people who set the fire. My name is Emma, and this was the last straw. If you enjoyed this story, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe.